20th hour. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. We haven't talked about anything yet.
It's okay, Jenny. It's okay. It's okay.
An interesting day. But it's the 20th hour. And Tim, how much have we raised so far? I need to ask you.
Yeah, we've raised almost $5,000 already.
That's great.
Almost $5,000. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it is. It's wonderful, actually. And you guys, we have someone who has had leukemia, and he is quite the go-getter.
Yeah, and look at all these people that are showing up for you and Boyd, Jenny Gold. Nancy Barrows is here.
Yeah.
Emily Harmon is here.
You guys. And Deborah's here too.
Here.
So Maria. So I don't even think you guys even know who Boyd is. Will you guys hear about him?
I want to know. Do you guys want to know? Let us know. Do you want to know?
I know. And he is, I mean, come on. He is like a go-getter for sure. He's an overcomer, and he is just amazing. And he's amazing. And you know what, Boyd? I don't even think we should introduce you, because I think you should introduce yourself, to be honest with you. Because you have quite the story. I don't think we had anybody else that on this run 9 marathons. And his leukemia came back one time too. But he's got stem cell things going on between the US and Canada. I mean, crazy. I mean, this story it's not crazy, but it's kind of crazy, because I don't think it's very incredible. That's a better word than crazy. He's back there smiling, and Boyd is going to tell you his story for sure. But please, you guys, donate. Please donate. I don't care if it's $1, $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000. That's even better. Whatever. It's going to go completely to SSL, leukemia. I'm sorry, I just said it wrong. The Leukemia Lymphoma Society, right?
And the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Yeah, so we got somebody else laughing in the background. Yeah, I did. Sorry, I'm like not looking at my notes, and I haven't run a show.
That's okay.
I don't even know. But yeah, so it's gonna be a great story. And it's not even a story. I mean, it's I don't like to call it a story, because they kind of go, is it real or is it true? You guys are gonna wonder how real this is, because it's almost not real, but it is real. So, and we've got videos. We've got.
Is it a real, not real story? Is it like a podcast, not podcast?
Podcast, not podcast. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, thanks for coming. I have a whole bowl of bacon. I didn't even open it yet. I already cried. Oh, wait, look at Emily. She hasn't run a marathon, but maybe she should run with him in the Boston Marathon.
Maybe he'll challenge her to a marathon.
I know, right? Exactly. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready, Boyd? Hey, mine's ready, I believe.
Maybe we should bring Boyd on the screen. Maybe I should go off the screen, and maybe we should bring Boyd on the screen. What do you think?
Well, I don't. Yeah, probably, because he's got the big old earphones on.
He does. He's prepared. He's ready. I know Boyd's ready. If he can run a marathon, I think he could come on the screen.
Yeah, he's getting ready for his 10th. So why don't we bring Boyd on now?
All right, let's do it.
Hey.
Let's do it.
Hey, guys.
So this is Boyd, everybody. And he is an amazing man. He lives in Canada. And that's all I'm going to tell you. He's a leukemia survivor. Thank you very much for putting that up there. And Boyd, tell us your story quickly. But we're going to come in and out, because we're going to say hi to people. We're going to remind people to donate, because please tell them how much you've actually raised in the past with the help of others. Sure. We put that in there?
Yeah. Hi. So we now live in the Maritimes. So we are in New Brunswick, which is east of Maine. Mm-hmm. My wife and I lived 19 years in London, Ontario, which is about 2 hours from Detroit, 2 hours from Toronto. Mm-hmm. And we had 3 little kids in 6 years. And in 2011, we were just tired. Our daughter was born, and we were just tired for months. And my wife's like, there's something wrong with you. And so it was Canada Day of 2011, which is July 1st. You guys celebrate 4th of July. And I went to the doctor, and it completely shocked us. I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. So acute myeloid leukemia is a horrible illness that it's about a 10% chance of living to a year without it relapsing. And after 3 rounds of chemotherapy, it was confirmed our worst fears that it was AML 6-9, which is even worse. And they had never seen it. They had to pull out their journal of medicine. And we were told I needed a life-saving stem cell transplant. So they did a fundraiser for our family in London, Ontario. And that exact day, 2 friends in Toronto ran a half marathon for me with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society that day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why did they miss my event? but they raised thousands of dollars for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And we went to Disney, and it was like an amazing experience. And I even had a friend take me to Israel. I'd always wanted to go to Israel. And he did that in December of 2011, and thought, this is going to be great. And February of 2012, I was going into the hospital for blood work, and so I rang the bell, right? So, when you're in remission, you ring the bell.
Huh?
So I rang that stupid bell, and a week later, my cancer relapsed. And that absolutely freaked me out. Not just ringing the bell, but I cried for like 3 days, and I called everybody and said I was dying.
I cried.
You cried. I cried.
Right. I didn't even know you, but I cried too. But you don't have
cried, and that was so sad. And obviously, I really feel, I went through all the chemotherapy and the radiation, but there have been times where somebody supernatural stepped in, and I feel like God stepped in, and somehow I got the cancer back into remission a second time. To be able to have the life-saving stem cell transplant, you have to be in remission. You have to be in remission. I have followed story after story of people that couldn't get the cancer into remission to do the stem cell transplant. So anyways, my wife Googled and found the Juravinsky Cancer Clinic, which is in Hamilton, Ontario, so it's near Toronto, and they did unrelated stem cell transplants. So May 3rd, 2012, I had my stem cell transplant. That was the hardest thing I've ever experienced. You go through radiation chemotherapy. I'm not getting the word right, where they drain, they filter your blood, right? So you got a needle coming in this arm, 4 hours of this.
Yeah.
And so then I received the stem cells of somebody that I didn't know who it was. And so that was in a port through my neck. The first 100 days of isolation are the most dangerous, because that's when people can get ill and die. And during that time, I suffered a virus that caused some permanent nerve and brain damage. Just during the chemotherapy and radiation, and then afterwards from this virus. And so I was convinced that I was going to be medically crippled for the rest of my life. The doctor said I was going to be. And I was doing physio and in my own working out at the local YMCA, and a friend approached me. This is the early 2013, and he said, "Boyd, I want to run a marathon in Alaska in your honor." And you just jumped into the question. And I said, "Well, you can run that marathon for me in Alaska, but I am coming with you." I said, "I'm coming with you. We'll raise money together."
Yeah.
And that particular event, my friend Gil had to raise $10,000 to do this event. And so we raised like $13,000, and it covered off on the airfare. And I took my son Steven with me, who was 6, and he brought his son. And that was the most exciting marathon I was ever a part of, because somebody ran it for me. But I was so inspired from that I came home from that event and I bought a pair of shoes. And in spite of the chronic nerve pain, the brain trauma, the lesions on my brain, I started running and did a 10K event, and then actually worked my way up to my first marathon, which was at Disney. And so I was really excited about that. And so I called the Leukemia Lymphoma Society and I said, "Guys, I'm a blood cancer survivor and I'm coming to run the Disney Marathon. What do you think? They're like, Boyd, you have a great story. Would you be willing to share your story on stage? I thought, okay. Some of the team and training events are like 100 people, right? So this is on stage before 20,000 people. So that was incredibly intimidating. And, and the lady, her name was Bonnie Brooks. And she said, Boyd, I remember meeting you in Alaska a year and a half ago. She was the national director of the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and she was from Alaska. And I have a picture of me and her together at Disney before my first marathon. So that was my first marathon, and I couldn't stop crying at the end of the marathon. I was a mess. A friend in Canada said, "Can I run it with you?" I said, "Of course." And at like mile 25, he's like, "Boyd, you're a marathoner," and I'm like, "Shut up!" We had to run another mile. I couldn't stop crying. Like I'm just like blubbering. So, anyways, that was marathon number 1.
So, can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
So, when you got the stem cell transplant, what's the difference between that and a bone marrow transplant? Because I know someone who's going through MMA right now, and they actually had to get stem cells and bone marrow. So I'm just wondering, I don't know the difference.
I called it a bone marrow transplant for the longest time. And then when I was doing this interview in 2014, there was a lady from the LLS. She's like, Boyd, call it a stem cell transplant. I'm like, okay.
Interesting.
The older you get, the more you realize that you really know less and less about different types of blood cancer. So acute myeloid leukemia requires a stem cell transplant from, like some people can have their own self transplant. So this was not me. I needed it to be from somebody else.
Right. So would you like to tell us who you got it from?
Oh, so guys, get your tissues.
Right. I might have skipped some other things, but I thought this was kind of important.
Oh, it's it's the most super important part ever. So we found out before this trip to Alaska in the spring of 2013, you could reach out to meet your donor. And so I'm like, I want to find out who this person is. And they said, it might be somebody in Europe. It could be whatever. And so I get a message and a thing that it was a gentleman named Nathan Barnes. I'm like, who's this Nathan Barnes guy? So we found out that Nathan is an American U.S. Naval Serviceman who was in Japan.
Yeah.
And the U.S. Navy paid to fly him from Japan to the American stem cell, whatever, in Washington, D.C. So I have the DNA of an American Naval Serviceman. And
you've got 2 people on here, back in the back room, and also in the comments that actually have served in the Navy.
You guys are very patriotic about your service people. Mm-hmm. And I have to put a bit of a pause in the story until I got to meet Nathan, because this is the important part. So my enthusiasm to meet him was like, yay, let's do this. Well, he is serving his country. So for 7 years, we waited to meet Nathan, but I didn't sit around. And I remember thinking, well, marathons are really hard because they're 26 miles. What marathon could I do next? And so I thought, well, let's go big or go home. So I thought, well, why don't I try to run the Boston Marathon? And so long story short, because of my chronic health issues, I'm considered an athlete with disabilities. I had a guide runner for Disney. I've had guide runners. So somebody made the mistake of telling me that I would never run the Boston Marathon. And so I ran it from 2016 to 2018. And this is the Athletes with Disabilities program. Okay. So this is from 2018. So this was so cool. Okay. There's me right there.
Yeah.
In the yellow. Where are we? There's me. I was such a, like, what the heck? I'm in their magazine. So the 2017 Boston Marathon was a personal best for me, in the sense that I had like a 25-minute personal best at Boston.
Wow.
Yeah, like I beat the individual that said I would never go by a minute. Like it was like one of these moments. So anyways, Boston 3 times, Disney twice, Chicago, and New York. And then we're going to transfer back to meeting Nathan, it looks like.
Yeah. But
ready?
Why is the name of
Go ahead.
Why is the name of Nathan so important to you?
Because our middle son's name is Nathan, and it literally means gift of God.
Yeah.
It's Hebrew. Nathaniel is technically whatever. Anyways, I had a Jewish friend tell me I was technically Nathaniel. I'm like, let's not ruin the moment. It's Nathan.
But I think it's so cool though that your middle son's name was Nathan, and your stem cell guy's name was
Nathan. Gift of God.
Owner of stem cells, right? That's awesome. That's really awesome. Oh, actually, we're going to take a break right here, and Stefan just reminded us, let's open our hearts and wallets to SSL and donate some moolah, right?
Please give.
Yes.
I'm alive because of the kindness of a random stranger. So
yes,
we're leaning on you guys today.
And how much have you raised with the help of others in the past?
Okay, so with that one event for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, we raised $10,000. I thought this was amazing. In 2016, like guys dream big. This was so amazing. The province of Ontario, so province versus state, was given a grant to add more beds for stem cell transplants, but they needed to raise $10 million for specialized equipment to do beds to do stem cell transplants. And so they came up with this campaign called Tomorrow Stems From You, right? And so I'm like, guys, how many blood cancer survivors turned marathon runners do you have for your campaign? And they're like, Boyd, you're the only one. And so anyways, I said, look, you can use my story. I'm not in a position to fundraise at this time, but use my story. And they raised $10 million in 6 months. And it just, I was shocked. And on a side note, I got to go to the hospital 3 years later and got to see the new wing. So they used my story and 5 other people's stories and raised $10 million. I'm still in shock with that moment.
Yes. Yes. And Russ Hedge says, 1,000 #1,000 thanks is his big thing. By the way, so what does Disney mean to your family though? Because I know you've been there twice, right?
No, we went 8 times in 9 years.
What? You went 8 times?
Yep.
Ooh, I did not know that. That's one of the 9.
We went 8 times in 9 years. You know, nonstop medical appointments, eye doctors, chemotherapy, follow-up for the chemotherapy, neurology, dentist. Mm-hmm. It was like I had 200 medical appointments in 1 year. And so, yeah, it was exhausting. So what did we do? We went to Disney. We did 5 October trips.
Yeah.
5. And our daughter, by the time she was 9, she had done like 8 trips. She didn't even know what Halloween was in Canada because she had done like 5 Halloweens at Disney. So
nothing beats that.
She'd done a couple of trick-or-treating things in Canada, but nothing beats going to Disney. So are we going to show the video, or do we want to talk about it?
We're actually going to show the video here.
So let's do the video because Disney does things better than I do.
Actually, you know what? I thought that somebody in the back was going to do that. I'll try to pull this up for you. One moment, please. And then we will just have to make sure. Actually, there's a couple that we're going to show here. And I'm show LLS fundraising really quick if you don't mind. And then we'll get to Disney if that's okay, everybody. Because maybe they can find that for me. Oh, wait, not Brooklyn. That one's pretty sad. Right, hold on 1 second. Let's see if we can do this. You can keep chatting, Boyd, if you'd like.
All
but
right.
Also, why don't you there's another question here while I try to find it for you.
I ran 7 marathons in 7 years waiting to meet Nathan.
Yes.
So
yes.
Disney did not talk about that. They took that part out of the thing. I'm like, look, I didn't sit around waiting to meet this guy. I ran 7 marathons in 7 years waiting to meet him. So
exactly. Actually, you know what? This could be it. This might be it. I can't promise, but this could be it, you guys. It's pretty exciting, actually.
That's it there.
That's right there. But you know what? It's up here somewhere too. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just going to have somebody else do this. But what we're going to do really quick, though, because I have this up here. I will put this one up really quick, LLS, and we will do that really quick, okay? Actually, somebody else is doing that, which is great.
Maybe, okay, so you're recording?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, no.
My name is Brooklyn. This is my identical twin sister, Alyssa. And this is my pet bearded dragon, Smaug. I love my dragon a whole lot. I would describe myself as very passionate. I love to write. I like to play the violin. I remember getting the biopsy results in my sister's bedroom. Diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. I had just turned 21. I was terrified on my first day of treatment. And before I knew it, I was getting continuous chemo for 96 hours straight. But none of it was working. At that point, we realized that we couldn't pass up any opportunities. And we had to take every moment that we could. So one of the things we did was take time for me and my sister to go find me a wedding dress. Not because I was getting married, but just to have the experience and to be able to find that perfect dress with my sister and share that moment together, since we knew that we couldn't guarantee it anymore. We were trying to learn everything we could about my diagnosis. That's why we went to LLS's blood cancer conference. And from that day on, LLS just became a big part of our lives. They helped me find meaning through volunteering and sharing my story. And they just gave me a blood cancer family. I thank LLS the most for funding my clinical trial. Getting the compassionate acceptance was really exciting, but my goodness, it was rough. And I finally got a remission. I relapsed less than 3 months later. We were sitting on a concrete bench outside the hospital thinking, why did we ever do this? A lot of feelings of defeat. I just kept asking how. How could we have done all of this? None of it mattered then. I still had cancer. So here we are. I've received all the standard treatments and even the newest blood cancer advances. And the only option now is treatment that just might slow down the cancer and buy a little bit of time. It's really hard to watch yourself get sicker. If you're not in the hospital for chemo, you're there because you have fluid in your chest or have another infection or need another blood transfusion. I'm exhausted and my family is exhausted. But I love my family and I love living life with them. We're relying on something better, more research. You give us the hope that we're hanging on to for my life. LLS calls me an honored hero, but really, you're my heroes.
Oh my gosh. Jenny, can I just step away for a minute?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's a rough one to watch, wasn't it? That's a tough one. And Boyd didn't know about that video. He wanted to watch his Disney one, and that one's really happy. Sorry. But we'll bring that one up for him when he gets back. If that's not a reason to donate today, it's because we need more research. Yeah. So,
we do need more research, Jenny Gold. We do.
We do. And you know what? If you can put up the where people can donate to and how they can actually donate.
Yes,
that'd be great.
They can donate right down here. Or there's also another link. Some people have been having problems with these links in LinkedIn. When the link goes in LinkedIn with the redirect thing, I don't know. It's having problems. So there's another link that I'm going to find.
Okay.
So if anybody has problems with the link, just direct message me and I'll send you another one because I don't know.
If you guys, if you feel more comfortable sending a check, it's actually you can send it to Tim Sohn, Sohn, 120 Carol Lane, Chola. Is that right?
Yes, Chola.
I never say his last name right. He's only my teacher. SHOHN. SHOHOLA, Pennsylvania, 18458. And you can make it out to your name or to LLS.
To LLS. Don't make it out to my name. No.
I thought it was to LLS. So that'd be great if you guys could do that. He's going to put up something else. Why don't you put that up in the comments if you wouldn't mind? It'd be easier for people to find. But you guys,
it's in the comments.
Yes. I'd love to give a shout out to Deborah Sweeney. Deborah pulled out the bacon too, which
Deborah Sweeney is in tears. Yes.
She's in tears. And she actually pulled out bacon. Ingvar, thank you for stopping by, and Russ Hedge, thank you.
Yes.
You guys are all huge supporters of this fundraiser. A lot of you guys have actually been on in the last 20 and a half hours this has been. And Jason Lopez, I saw that you're here. Thank you very much. Emily, we love you. Carl Sullivan was on for hours today already and yesterday. Kenny D.
Yes.
Nancy's here.
Senor Payasada says pinion branches. This is something he says on Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer all the time. He says pinion branches. I'm not really sure why, but he does.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then actually Mark Lee's here too, and he's been on a couple shows, or he's hosted a couple shows during the last 20 and a half hours. Oh, it's 28 hours.
Thanks, Mark Lee.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jenny Gold, go ahead. I have another video we could share also. Maybe we should wait on the Disney one before Boyd comes back.
Maybe he was upset that we didn't watch the Disney one. He'll come back.
I don't know. But we still have the Disney one that we could show.
We do. And actually that one, are you going to show on Pamela's?
We have that one. I can show. Yeah, we could show Pamela's. Do we want to show that one?
Pamela's happy one.
Yeah, we can show that one. Absolutely.
Sure.
Let's do that. Let me just move this. Sure. Yeah, so this video is from Pamela Formica from LLS, Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And here we go. Are you ready, Jenny?
Yeah.
The suspense, right?
I don't like this. I'm all what?
Yes.
Here we go. I won't cry on this one.
Here's Pam. Here we go.
Hi, my name's Pam Formica. I am the Campaign Development Director for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I'm so happy to be able to share a little bit with you today about LLS. So we are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and our main mission is to find a cure for blood cancers. That would be leukemia, lymphoma, Hodgkin's, and myeloma. We also have 3 pillars, and one of those pillars is advocacy, research. We make sure that everything that we do, that we are keeping our patients at the forefront of everything. We are still one of the only organizations that still gives patient financial aid and copay assistance for the things that your health insurance doesn't cover. And the way that we do all of this is through people like yourselves who help us out through our signature campaigns. And the campaign that you're going to hear about throughout this 24 hours is the Man and Woman of the Year campaign. It's a secret 10-week fundraising campaign where members of the community have signed on to utilize their networks, through events and fundraising. And at the end of the 10 weeks, we have a grand finale gala where we will name a man and a woman of the year. So many amazing people doing amazing things to help promote our mission. One of our largest initiatives coming up is our children's initiative, where we've committed over $160 million over the next 5 years to help close the percentage for our pediatric cancer. So as you can imagine, the world of pediatrics does not get a lot of funding. And so LLS has really stepped up because we were an organization that was founded by a family. Their 16-year-old son had passed away from leukemia, and they wanted to make a difference. And so last year during our anniversary, our CEO said we're going back to our roots. And so the Children's Initiative is a large initiative for LLS. And really, we want to make sure that every child is able to have long-term results and not so many side effects.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that, Pam, from LLS. We appreciate you so much. You're such an encourager for this campaign.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to say, if you guys are wondering where your money's going to go when you donate, there's all sorts of ways. There's all sorts of ways that SSL can help families and doctors too. And I mean, this alone right here, look at my piece of paper here. There's a lot to run over this whole thing. $7,500 of funds for a program to educate 200 doctors on emerging treatments for specific blood cancer. So right now we're talking about blood cancer treatments, and that's what they're trying to work on. So for example, for Brooklyn, she's pretty small, even though she's 21. Chemo is pretty detrimental to kids' bodies, right? And you guys probably saw some shows previously of the little boys and little girls and stuff. And it's not you don't just lose your hair. Your organs can be damaged, your everything, like your we heard something about joints can be damaged, tendons, like all that stuff. So kids have to like go through a different process pretty much than adults. I mean, adults are damaged too, but the kids actually, they have a lot more damage typically. But $1,000 provides 1 week's salary for a medical researcher at NIH, Johns Hopkins, or GW. And they might discover key information in developing curative treatments for blood cancers. $1,000 makes possible one-on-one conversations with healthcare specialists, provide patients with information about their diseases, treatment options, and help prepare them with questions for their healthcare team. $500 provides 10 patients the opportunity to log on to a webcast and hear the latest information on treatment for their diseases. It goes on and on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in here about. $55 provides transportation expenses for patients living in the DC metropolitan area to a comprehensive cancer treatment center. And that's, I mean, hello, how much is gas right now?
It's really expensive right now. Yeah.
So, I mean, $35, that's not going to really get a whole bunch of gas, but we'll get some gas.
Right, yeah.
And the woman that was on just talking about her daughter, right, or son, I think her son, saying that they had to be there twice for like a week. They had to pay, $150 just in parking at the hospital. It's bad enough that your kid's in the hospital, right? You're staying with them to be with them. But then you have to pay $150 to get your car out. I mean, come on. So, I mean, if anyone wants to donate $150, I'm telling you right now, there are parents that would really appreciate that. So,
for sure.
That's my love.
Yeah.
So.
LLS provides such important services such as resources and research and funding for cancer is so expensive. For people who don't have really good insurance, chemo treatments and oral chemo medications and other treatments can be so expensive, and LLS sometimes helps with that. And they provide education. They provide in-person events. Sometimes they provide webinars. They send education in the mail. They just provide so much, and sometimes you need answers, and everybody's story is different.
Right.
Everybody's answers are not always the same, depending on your story and what kind of cancer you have. LLS is, I know it's been so helpful to me and my family over the last 15 years, and it has been to many others. So just encourage you all who, have the means necessary to donate. Every dollar counts. So encourage you to go to the link down below, down there. And
sorry, did I maybe cut you off?
No, it's all good.
I was just going to tell you guys that my dad passed away from leukemia lymphoma about 6.5 years ago. And that's part of the reason that Tim decided to come out on my show and say, hey, I'm going to tell the world that I have leukemia. I'm like, okay. Like, that was totally, I kind of knew that he asked me about that. He asked me if that was an autoimmune disease. And then all of a sudden he said, hey, I'll come on your show. And I'm like, wow, okay. But the reason I'm saying this is that it's really difficult for me sometimes because my dad went through chemo, and he went through the chemo pills. They were actually in a trial period. And he was in the third, I think they were in the third trial period. So, but he ended up passing, but he really he did a huge fight. But he was in the hospital a lot. And what they didn't do when he was in the trial, they don't pay for a lot of the stuff. If you end up in the hospital, they don't pay for that. That goes through Medicare or something or whatever. And anything else like the parking, like I'm saying, or the food, like you have to go and get food in the, in the deli or whatever they have there, the place that they could eat. Those are all costs that you have to pick up on your own. And it's already so expensive to be there because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, it's just a copay. Well, the copay for that cancer drug, the cancer drugs are quite expensive. So it's another thing to think about.
Yeah, definitely. And Senora Payasada is saying, Jenny Gold, thank you for having a show.
Thank you.
And he also said, some people use puffs. Senora Payasada has pinion branches.
Yes, he does.
I mean, to each his or her own, whatever works for you.
I think that might be kind of rough, though.
Right?
But Tim, going back to the puffs, what type of puffs do you like? Just in case,
Whatever is here. I don't know. It's over there on the floor still. I still haven't had a chance to pick it up because I haven't had a chance to move from this chair much since this morning.
Is this morning like 1 a.m. or like 8 a.m? Or I'm just kidding. I woke up in the middle of the night. I was watching them too. So
I'm trying to remember what time. I got, I think, 3 hours of sleep last night, but that's okay.
Wow. Okay, because we're raising money for something that's really
because we're doing it for a good cause, a great cause, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society.
Absolutely. So
yes.
But guys, why are we here today?
We're here for the Open Your Hearts and Wallets for Blood Cancers 2024, our fundraiser, right, Jenny Gold?
Yes, that's correct. But we're changing lives, right?
We are.
And Tim is now cancer-free. Nobody said that today. Tim is now cancer-free. Right?
Yeah.
And but that could change in a heartbeat too. And that's the one thing that I know, and that's what Boyd was saying, that his came back, right? And the girl that we were just watching, hers came back. Like they thought she was in remission, and she wasn't in remission. But you're going to find Tim. I'm just saying these are things though that people need to understand, is that even when people say, hey, guess what? I only have I'm a month away or 6 months away from being cancer-free for 5 years. And then all of a sudden it comes back the month before the end of the 6, it's like crazy. So you never know. It can come back from stress. It can come back from anything. So, but many aren't cancer-free and many won't become cancer-free. What we've seen from some of the mothers and fathers that have been on here, they're sitting in the hospitals and their kids are getting their chemo treatments, and their friends aren't there anymore. All of a sudden, their best friend isn't there. They make best friends in these places too. These kids do, and it's hard on the parents, but it's really hard on the kids. So the parents become counselors, right?
Yeah, we've been hearing stories of that. We've heard stories of that on Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, and we've also been hearing that stories. Like Laura Rappa yesterday, the mom of the Girl of the Year for LLS, was sharing that yesterday on as part of this event. She was saying that that's been happening.
Yeah.
And how that's one of the things that she's, one of the challenges as a mom is, going through that with McCoy is, as she has friends that are also going through cancer. And some of them are, not having as successful results as McCoy is.
Right.
So sending lots of prayers and love to those families and those children.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and those stories are hard to hear. That's for sure. I guess we have another video, don't we?
We do have another video. Yes.
About the kids. Isn't there one about kids and research for kids or something?
Yes, there's one about LLS PEDAL, the first global precision medical clinical trial in pediatric acute leukemia.
Right.
There's something about words during this 24-hour virtual event that are very interesting to say.
Yes.
So, yes, I'm going to bring that up right now. Here we go. And we're going to do, where is it?
What we're trying to do here with LLS is to do something that's never been done before, and that's to match the child to a trial almost in real time. You can imagine a child coming in with relapsed leukemia and to be able to figure out within 24, 48 hours a new therapy to put that child on and to get that therapy started. That's never been done before.
We've been using the same drugs for the last 40 to 50 years. These are drugs that have been designed primarily for adult cancers, and we've been using them in kids to improve outcomes. And we've probably gotten as much mileage out of them as we can. For many of these types of leukemias that we're treating, we've pushed the limit of toxicity as far as we can. If we're going to make new progress, we need new therapies.
With this initiative, if we are successful, we can bring in massive number of pediatric leukemia patients to answer questions in a few short years rather than decades. And the fact that we have failed to do that really requires for us to change the way we're thinking and change the paradigm.
Pediatric leukemia is actually different from adult leukemia. So the changes that we see in the leukemia cells at the level of the genes are actually quite different from those seen in adult leukemias. So it's really important to actually focus research specifically on childhood leukemias, both acute myeloid leukemia as well as acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I am so excited that the Leukemia Lymphoma Society is going to support a next generation clinical trial very similar to the adult Beat AML trial. This trial is actually going to enable a master trial for children with AML and other high-risk leukemias. So as part of this study, really for the very first time, we're going to be able to sequence the gene changes in the child's leukemia and then match those gene changes to drugs in a series of clinical studies.
Without LLS's backing, we could never even dream of a project like this because this is a huge initiative that's going to require data from lots of different sources and an enormous infrastructure, the likes of which we've never seen before.
I have never been this optimistic as I stand here today. We can do this.
Look who's back.
Hey.
Boyd's back. And guess what? That's a perfect segue, Tim, to Disney. You know why? Because
Yes.
Okay, welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and
So, Boyd,
Jenny, this has never happened before in my life. A homeless person walked in our front door.
what?
And he turns out he wasn't homeless. He had dementia and had climbed out the window of his nursing home and walked away. He was wearing slippers. And so we were fortunate enough that when we called the police, they came with compassion and gently took him away, and he shook our hands and thanked us. And I've never experienced that in my life. And so
did you use some bacon? Because we have a lot of bacon. Maybe.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Like my wife's like, I need you. I'm like, what just happened? So anyways, he's okay.
That's good. That's good to hear, actually.
They were looking for him. The police were looking for him.
Wow.
He was wearing slippers and like a light jacket, and it's below zero here, it's below freezing. So, anyways,
Are you ready for Disney?
I am more than ready for my Disney experience. So, like I am, and for my goodness, only in Boyd's life. So, like I said, we waited 7 years to meet Nathan, and I called Disney. I said, look, I've never met this. Okay. He had never been to an amusement park. He had never been on a roller coaster, and he had never been to Disney.
Oh, wow.
So now we're going to watch the video. Grab your tissues. Grab your tissues.
I have bacon. I have bacon.
Is there? It should play.
Right here.
Just enlarge it, yeah.
This is Boyd Dunleavey in Ontario, Canada. The video was made last fall. It was me meeting my stem cell donor, Nathan Barnes, for the first time. We waited 7 years to meet him, as he is an active naval serviceman in the U.S. Navy. We want to thank everybody at Disney for helping make this possible and let you know that we're thinking of you. All the best from Ontario and Canada.
I honestly don't think I would have ever run a half marathon if it wasn't for Disney. I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. Without a life-saving stem cell transplant, I wouldn't live the year. It was completely out of the blue. When we found out that it was a gentleman named Nathan, our middle son's name is Nathan, and it means gift of God.
You have to wait a year before you can contact each other, but since about 2013, I've been waiting to meet him.
He's never been to Disney, so I said, we are going to Disney. We're coming to Disney. We're going to do this here.
Finally, I had no idea you could actually feel this good about something.
I can't believe how Disney sort of gets to you every time you're running here. It really is the most magical place in the world.
Wow.
Knowing his story, knowing our story together, it's amazing what he's come from.
This is by far my favorite race.
Great job.
My motto is to never lose hope. Never lose hope. Never lose hope.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, he said to me, he was like, wait till you hear my story. You're totally going to cry. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm like, okay, yes, I am. I said, I have a lot of bacon. Don't worry. So, guys, we are almost up on our hour here. And Tim, you want to come back on and tell us who's up next? Oh, but first of all, Boyd, how can people get in touch with you?
You can Google Boyd Dunleavey at Disney, and Facebook is Boyd Dunleavey. Instagram is Boyd Dunleavey, or From Blood Cancer to Boston. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I don't use it that much. And I think my Twitter handle is like From Blood Cancer to Boston, but I don't know. I think it might be, should be From Blood Cancer to Disney, but whatever. I mean, Boston's pretty cool. So I'm going back in April. One more marathon. But
yeah, when's the marathon? Actually,
April 18th.
Yay!
So you know, if you're looking for a charity to give to, because I'm running Boston, because I'm not raising funds, give to the LLS. They literally changed my life. Right, a friend took me to Alaska and ran a marathon for me, and it changed my life. And you know, a year and a half later, the LLS was at Disney. Like, I'm like, come on, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I was with a Zoom Facebook group, and that's how I met Tim. And we reached out a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Would you do this?" I said, "Yeah." The other thing that was cool in 2019 was at Disney for that event, I met some people who were part of the LLS in the Colorado chapter, and they did a LLS Man and Woman of the Year event in the summer of 2020. So I got to watch that event on Zoom Live, and the one girl raised about $40,000. So
wow.
Yeah.
And that might have been part of Cancer League of Colorado. So I was involved with that for quite a while when my dad was sick. But gosh, how exciting. It's very exciting.
Right, because that's where you are. I forgot.
No, right. I'm in Denver.
I know. It's like, wow, it's such a small world. It is such a small world.
And by the way, we've had some people on here from Toronto too. So
yeah, I'm only in my world would I be on a would I be on a once in a lifetime live event and some homeless guy walks in our door.
I shouldn't laugh.
Looking for,
it's not funny at all.
He was looking for help. He was lost and confused, and my wife gave him like hand warmers and you couldn't make this up. You can't make this up. Anyways, Tim, we are 100% committed to supporting you in this Man of the Year pursuit. So,
well, thank you so much for showing up, for you sharing your story. I'm so glad that the homeless man is okay, that you guys are okay. I was just worried all of a sudden you got up and left, and I'm like,
so glad I didn't irritate you. I'm like, wait, say something I wasn't supposed to say. I'm like, there's a trigger.
I walked downstairs and this guy's like leaning towards my wife. I'm like, what the world?
Oh my gosh.
The police got there in 5 minutes. And to clarify, he's not homeless. He was in a senior's home.
Yes.
Okay.
And had climbed out a window.
That's good.
Right.
So the police were trying to find him. They were driving around trying to find this guy because he very resourceful apparently, but he didn't know what he was doing. So
Tim, who's up next? I mean, who can be Boyd? I mean, come on. Like Boyd's like the man of the
so next up and live right now, at least on LinkedIn, I see is Mark Lee and the Funky Eye Puppets, who perform typically on Clubhouse. The Funky Eye Puppets. So go over to Mark Lee. I know he is live on LinkedIn right now. So go over, support Mark Lee and the Funky Eye Puppets. There is this link here. Some people have been having problems with the donations.perspectivesoncancer.com link. It was a redirect link, and there's been some, when you put the link on LinkedIn, it's been not working for some people. So if you use this funky link here, speaking of Funky Eye Puppets and funk, I put a link here somewhere. This one here, I also dropped it in the comments, so you don't have to remember it. That one always works. So if you go to that pages.lls.blah, blah, 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 that has the link for Mark Lee's, where Mark Lee is right now, as well as if you want to donate, as well as the schedule for the rest of the day. So all the information to donate, everything, go there. It's in the comments. Just appreciate you all so much. Thank you, Boyd, Jenny Gold. We got you. We love you. Much love.
Thank you. Bye.
DJ, I think we're gonna dance.
In the back.
We're dancing on the way out.
We're doing that Tim dance.
We're doing the Tim. Boyd, do you know the Tim dance? It goes like this. You put your two fingers up in the air, and this is what we do.
We do. It's very easy, but it's kind of tiring.
I'm not up for dancing. I just had a homeless man in my house, but
all right.
Okay, love you guys. See you.
Love you.
Bye.
Are we ending the broadcast, Jenny Gold?
Well, tell everybody to come to the dance party tonight too.
Yes, everyone, 5 o'clock Eastern time. There is going to be a final celebration. There's going to be a drawing. Everyone who has donated is entered into a drawing for prizes from Ecamm, StreamYard, and many more. Yeah. And I'm making a big announcement. So make sure you're there between 5 and 6. I'm not telling before then. Not telling. Shh.
No. He tells me everything.
Not even Jenny Gold knows.
No.
Not even DJ knows.
No, not even DJ.
Not even Boyd knows.
Nope. Nope. He doesn't know either.
No.
We don't know. I don't know. She doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Not even Senor Payasada and his pinion branches know. They don't even know.
This is a big secret. This is a really big secret. Hey, you guys, go get over to Mark Lee.
Yes, go over to Mark Lee. We're getting out of here.
I know.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Good night. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Jenny.